The great hall of the Galactic Council had never seen such chaos. Ambassador Zalthik stood at the center podium, his blue scales shaking as he spoke. His voice cracked with fear as he showed the burning worlds on the giant screen above him. 12 star systems had fallen in just 4 months. The Kethar Empire was moving fast, too fast for anyone to stop them. They came without warning, Zalthik said, his hands trembling as he changed the images. First, they hit our mining colonies, then our trade routes. Now they are attacking our homeworlds. The screen showed ships burning in space and cities, turning to ash on planet surfaces. We need help. We need it now. Chairman Vexnar rose from his crystal throne. He was tall, made of living crystal that caught the light and threw rainbows across the chamber walls. His voice rang like bells when he spoke. The Kethar have broken every law of civilized space. They attack without reason. They take no prisoners. They leave nothing alive. The council chamber filled with worried voices. Representatives from 47 different worlds sat in curved rows around the speaking floor. Some looked like humans, but with different colored skin. Others had scales, fur, or crystal bodies. A few were so strange that other species needed special equipment just to talk to them. In the back row, Elder Mordan sat quietly. He was old, even by the standards of his people, the Silthani. His body looked like it was carved from gray stone, and his eyes glowed with a soft red light. He had lived for over 3,000 years and had seen many wars. But he said nothing as the younger council members talked and argued. Ambassador Talas stood up from her seat. She looked almost like a human woman, but with cat-like eyes and soft fur covering her arms. Her people, the Nyx, were known for being smart and careful. What do we know about their military strength? She asked. A holographic display appeared. In the air, General Crudin, a warrior from the bird-like Talon Republic, spoke with a harsh voice. The Kethar fight like a machine. Every ship, every soldier moves together. They think as one mind. When one Kethar learns something, they all know it instantly. They adapt to our tactics in minutes. The display showed Kethar warriors. They looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. Their bodies were covered in black armor that seemed to grow from their skin. They had 4 arms, each ending in claws that could tear through metal. Their heads were shaped like triangles with large, dark eyes that never seemed to blink. How many ships do they have? Asked Minister Daltek from the water world of Aquatica. His voice bubbled through the water-filled helmet he wore. Our best guess is over 10,000 warships, General. Crudin replied. Maybe more. They build new ones faster than we can count them. And each ship is bigger and stronger than anything we have. The council chamber fell silent. 10,000 ships was more than all the council worlds had together. Even if every species contributed their entire military, they would still be outnumbered. Chairman Vexinar's crystal body dimmed. Do we have any options? He asked. We could try to make peace, suggested Ambassador Whaler from the Peaceful Harmony Collective. Maybe they want something we can give them. They want everything, Zalthek said bitterly. Every world. Every life. They do not trade. They do not talk. They only take. Then we fight, growled General Crudin. We gather our fleets and make a stand. With what? Asked Minister Daltek. They destroyed the Meridian fleet in 2 hours. The Talon war birds lasted 3 hours. Even the crystal ships of the Prism Collective could not stop them. The council members looked at each other with growing fear. Some whispered prayers in their native languages. Others calculated how long it would take the Kethar to reach their home worlds. Then Ambassador Talas spoke up. What about the humans? The chamber went quiet. Many of the council members had never heard of humans. Those who had thought of them as a young species from the edge of known space. Humans? Chairman Vexinar asked. You mean the primitives from the Sol system? They are not as primitive as we thought, Talas said. My people have been watching their broadcasts for years. They fight wars differently than we do. They use tactics we have never seen. General Cruden made a sound like laughing. What could they possibly offer? They barely have space travel. Their weapons use chemical explosions. Their ships are powered by controlled explosions. That is exactly why they might help, Talas said. The Kethar adapt to our ways of fighting because they understand how we think. But humans think differently. They might surprise them. From the back of the chamber, Elder Mordoon finally spoke. His voice was deep and slow, like rocks grinding together. You do not want to wake the humans. Everyone turned to look at the ancient being. He rarely spoke in council meetings, and when he did, others listened. You know about them? Chairman Vexinar asked. I have studied many species, Mordoon said. The humans are dangerous. Not because they are strong or smart, but because they do not think like us. When they fight, they become something else, something that should be left alone. We are desperate, Zalthik said. We need every ally we can find. Morden's red eyes grew brighter. The humans have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. But they forgot the rest of that wisdom. They forgot that some wars never end once they begin. Ambassador Talas stepped forward. With respect, Elder, we are already at war. The Kethar will not stop until they have destroyed us all. If the humans can help, we must ask them. The humans will help, Mordoon said quietly. That is what makes them dangerous. They always help. But once you bring humans into your war, it becomes their war. And humans do not fight wars the way we do. They do not stop when they should. They do not know when enough is enough. Chairman Vexinar looked around the chamber. Fear filled every face. The Kethar were coming, and nothing the council had tried could stop them. All in favor of contacting the humans? He asked. One by one, hands, claws, tentacles, and other appendages rose into the air. Only Elder Morden kept his stone, hands in his lap. The motion passes, Vexinar announced. Ambassador Talas, you will make contact with the human species. Offer them alliance and technology in exchange for military support. As the council members filed out of the chamber, Elder Mordoon remained seated. He stared at the empty podium, where Zalthek had shown the burning worlds. You will regret this, he whispered to the empty room. The Kethar destroy worlds, but humans change them. And once humans are awakened to war, the galaxy will never be the same. But his words echoed in an empty chamber. The decision had been made. Soon, the humans would know that they were not alone in the universe. And then, everything would change. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the impossible happened. He was sitting in his command chair on the bridge of the colony ship New Horizon, watching the star stream pass through the main window. They were 3 weeks away from their new home, a planet called Kepler 442b, when the communication officer, Lieutenant Sam Peters, suddenly sat up straight in his chair. Captain, we are getting a signal, Peters said, his voice full of confusion. But it is not coming from Earth or any of our colonies. Space junk, maybe? Morrison asked. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in the Martian wars 20 years ago and thought his fighting days were over. Now he just wanted to help build a new world for his people. No, sir, Peters said. This is a direct transmission. Someone is trying to talk to us. And, Captain, the signal is not human. Morrison nearly dropped his coffee cup. What do you mean, not human? Before Peters could answer, the air in the middle of the bridge began to glow. Light gathered together until it formed the shape of a woman. But she was not quite human. She had the right shape and size, but her skin was covered in soft gray. fur. Her eyes were large and yellow like a cat's. Her ears were pointed and moved when she talked. The bridge crew stared in silence. Chief Engineer Linda Hayes dropped her tablet. Tactical Officer Ryan Brooks reached for his weapon, but stopped. When Morrison held up his hand, "Greetings," the strange woman said. Her voice was soft and musical. "I am Ambassador Talas of the Nix Commonwealth. I speak for the Galactic Council. Do not be afraid. We come in peace." Morrison stood up slowly. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his voice calm. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Colony ship New Horizon. Are you really from another world?" "I am," Talas said with a small smile. "And I bring urgent news. Your species is not alone in the galaxy. There are hundreds of worlds with intelligent life. We have formed a council to keep peace between our peoples. But now we face a terrible threat, and we need your help." The bridge was so quiet that Morrison could hear the ship's engines humming. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's doctor and scientist, stepped forward. She was a small woman with dark hair and quick eyes. "This is impossible," she whispered. "But it is happening." Talas nodded to her. "Dr. Rodriguez, I know this is hard to believe, but I have studied your people for many years. We have been listening to your radio signals and watching your progress. You are a young species, but you have qualities that older civilizations have lost." "What kind of qualities?" Morrison asked. "You adapt quickly to new situations. You think in ways that surprise us. And you have something we call creative destruction. You can break old rules to make new solutions." Rodriguez stepped closer to the hologram. "You said you need our help. What kind of help?" Talas's expression became serious. "There is a species called the Kethar. They are like giant insects that think with one shared mind. They have decided to conquer the entire galaxy. They destroy everything in their path. 12 star systems have already fallen." "How many ships do they have?" Brooks asked. As the tactical officer, he was already thinking about the military situation. "Over 10,000 warships, maybe more. Each one is larger and more powerful than anything the Council worlds can build. They fight as one mind, so they coordinate perfectly. Every battle teaches them how to fight us better." Morrison sat back down in his chair. "What could we possibly do against something like that? We have maybe 50 ships in our entire space fleet. Our weapons are primitive compared to yours." "That is exactly why we need you," Talas said. "The Kethar adapt to our fighting styles because they understand how we think. But you think differently. Your tactics might confuse them." Hayes spoke up from our engineering station. "What are you offering in return?" "Technology," Talas said. "Faster than light travel. Energy weapons. Gravity control. Medical advances that could extend your lives by centuries. We will share our knowledge with you." Rodriguez's eyes went wide. The scientific advances alone would change everything for humanity. Morrison thought for a long moment. This was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. First contact with aliens, a galactic war, technology beyond their dreams, but also danger beyond anything humans had ever faced. "I need to contact Earth Command," he said finally. "This decision is too big for one ship captain to make." "Of course," Talas said. "But please hurry. The Kethar are moving fast. Every day we wait, more worlds die." Morrison turned to Peters. "Send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we have made contact with alien life, and they are requesting military assistance. Mark it as Code Red." "Yes, sir," Peters said, his hands shaking as he worked at his console. The message traveled through space at light speed. It would take hours to reach Earth, but Morrison knew it would change everything. Within minutes, his communication board lit up with incoming calls from other colony ships and space stations. Word was spreading fast. 3 hours later, Admiral Frank Collins appeared on the main screen. He was an old soldier with white hair and scars on his face from the asteroid belt conflicts. "Jake, please tell me this is not some kind of joke." "No." "Joke, Admiral," Morrison said. "We have made contact with a galactic civilization. They are asking for our help against an invasion force." Collins was quiet for a moment. "What do you think, Jake? Can we trust them?" Morrison looked at Talas, who was still standing patiently in the middle of his bridge. "I think they are desperate, sir. And desperate people usually tell the truth. What kind of military help are they asking for?" "They want us to join their alliance. Fight alongside them against these Cathar?" Collins leaned forward. "Jake, we have been preparing for this day for decades. Ever since we detected those radio signals from deep space, we knew we were not alone. The question is, are we ready?" "I do not know if anyone is ever ready for something like this," Morrison said. "But if we say no, and these Cathar win, they might come for us next." "Good point," Collins said. "I am calling an emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Council. We will have an answer for you within 24 hours. After the call ended, Morrison turned back to Talas. "Why did you really choose us?" "There must be other species you could ask for help." Talas was quiet for a moment. "Because you are the only species we know that has never stopped fighting. Even when you achieved peace, you kept preparing for war. You study conflict like other species study art. Council members think this makes you primitive, but I think it makes you survivors." Dr. Rodriguez walked over to study the hologram more closely. "What are the Cathar like? How do they fight?" "They are insects that walk on 2 legs. They have 4 arms and natural armor. But their real strength is their hive mind. They share thoughts instantly. When one learns something, they all know it. This makes them very good at adapting to enemy tactics." "But if they all think the same way," Brooks said slowly, "then they might not be good at handling completely new ideas." Talas smiled. "That is exactly what we are hoping." 24 hours later, Admiral Collins contacted them again. "Jake, the Earth Defense Council has voted. We are accepting the alliance. We will provide military support in exchange for their technology and a place in their galactic community." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity was about to enter a war between the stars. They had no idea what they were getting into, but there was no turning back now. "Welcome to the galaxy, humans," Talas said. "I hope we can save it together." But deep in space, Elder Mordoon's warnings echoed in the void. The humans had been awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. Colonel Amy Patterson stood on the bridge of the human ship Earth's Pride and watched the alien fleet through the main window. She had never seen anything like it. The council ships were huge and beautiful, with smooth curves and bright colors. They looked like works of art floating in space. But they also looked slow and clumsy compared to the smaller human ships. "This is Admiral Crickstall of the Aquarian Defense Force," came a bubbling voice over the communication system. "Welcome to the Sigma Draconis system, Colonel Patterson. We are honored to fight alongside the humans for the first time." Patterson looked at the display showing the tactical situation. A council evacuation convoy was trapped near the 4th planet. 300 Cathar ships surrounded them like hungry sharks. The council fleet had arrived to help, but they were badly outnumbered. "Thank you, Admiral," Patterson replied. "What is your battle plan?" "We will form a defensive line and engage the enemy with our energy weapons. Our shields should hold long enough for the convoy to escape." Patterson frowned. She had studied the reports from previous battles. The council always fought the same way. They lined up their ships and traded fire with the enemy until one side gave up or was destroyed. It was honorable, but it did not work against the Cathar. "Admiral, with respect, That tactic has not been successful against the Cathar in the past. It is how civilized species conduct warfare, Admiral Crickstall replied, sounding a bit offended. We do not use trickery or deception. We fight with honor. Patterson looked at her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker. He was young but smart, and he understood how humans fought wars. Parker, show me the enemy formation. The display changed to show the Cathar ships. They were arranged in perfect geometric patterns around the convoy. Every ship was exactly where it should be for maximum efficiency. It was beautiful in a cold, mechanical way. They fight like a computer program, Parker said. Every ship in the exact right place. No wasted movement, no mistakes. And that is their weakness, Patterson said. They are too perfect. They cannot handle chaos. She opened a channel to her small fleet of 30 human ships. All vessels, this is Colonel Patterson. We are going to try something new. I want you to forget everything you learned about proper space combat. We are going to fight dirty. Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio from the New Horizon. What do you have in mind, Colonel? We are going to confuse them. Parker, deploy the decoy drones. I want 100 fake signals scattered around the system. Make it look like we have 1,000 ships out there. Yes, ma'am, Parker said, his fingers dancing over his controls. Within minutes, the space around them was full of false contacts. To the Cathar sensors, it looked like a massive human fleet had just arrived. Admiral Crickstall's voice crackled over the radio. Colonel, your ships are not where they should be. You need to form up with us in a proper battle line. Negative. Admiral, we are going to try a different approach. All human ships begin random movement patterns. I want you to look lost and confused. The human ships began to move in seemingly random directions. Some flew toward the enemy, others flew away. A few spun in circles. To anyone watching, it looked like the humans had no idea what they were doing. The Cathar Queen Commander Vex Thul watched from her command ship. She had never seen anything like this before. The humans were not following any known battle formation. Their movements made no sense. Her hive mind tried to analyze their tactics, but there were no tactics to analyze. Parker, are you ready with the special packages? Patterson asked. Ready, Colonel. All ships have their nuclear mines deployed and disguised as space debris. Patterson smiled. The Council species thought nuclear weapons were barbaric. They preferred clean energy weapons that disabled enemy ships without destroying them. But humans had learned long ago that sometimes you needed to break things to win. All ships begin Phase 2. I want electronic warfare on all frequencies. Jam their communications. Blind their sensors. Make them deaf and dumb. The human ships began, broadcasting on every frequency they could find. They sent out false orders, fake distress calls, and random noise. They played human music, broadcast human television shows, and transmitted human art. The Cathar communication network became flooded with information they could not understand. Queen Commander Vex Thul felt something she had never experienced before: confusion. The hive mind was trying to process all the incoming signals, but they made no sense. Human creativity was like poison to the collective consciousness. The organized thoughts of millions of Cathar began to break apart. Now, Patterson shouted. All ships attacked pattern chaos, hit them from every direction at once. The human ships suddenly stopped their random movements and struck like lightning. They came from above and below, from the sides and from behind. Their nuclear mines exploded in the middle of the Cathar formation, creating gaps in their perfect geometry. Captain Morrison led his group of ships in a spiral attack that no military academy had ever taught. They flew between the enemy ships, firing kinetic weapons that punched through energy shields like they were made of paper. Lieutenant, Commander Parker's squadron attacked the Cathar command ship directly. Instead of trying to destroy it, they attached devices that broadcast human music directly into the ship's computer systems. The Cathar inside began to experience something they had never felt: individual thoughts. The perfect hive mind formation collapsed. Cathar ships began firing at random targets. Some shot at their own allies by mistake. Others simply stopped, moving as their crews struggled to think for themselves for the first time in their lives. "This is impossible," Admiral Crickstall said, his voice full of amazement. "They are retreating. The Cathar are actually retreating." Patterson watched as the enemy fleet pulled back in disorder. It was the first time in the war that the Cathar had been defeated in battle. But she knew this was just the beginning. "All Council ships, escort the convoy to safety," she ordered. "Human ships, collect our minds and prepare to jump to hyperspace. We need to get out of here before they regroup." As the human fleet prepared to leave, Patterson received a private message from Elder Morden. The ancient being's face appeared on her screen, his red eyes glowing. "You have won your first battle, human," he said quietly. "But you have also shown the galaxy what you are capable of. Some will be grateful. Others will be afraid. Both reactions will change everything. We just did what we had to do," Patterson replied. "Yes," Morden said sadly. "That is what makes you dangerous. You always do what you have to do, no matter what the cost. The Council asked for your help to win a war, but they did not ask what would happen after you won it." The transmission ended, leaving Patterson alone with her thoughts. She looked out at the stars and wondered what they had started. The humans had entered the Galactic War, and they had already changed the rules. But she had a feeling that this was only the beginning of the changes to come. In the depths of space, the surviving Cathar ships regrouped. Queen Commander Vexthal was silent for a long time as she tried to understand what had happened. The humans fought like no species she had ever encountered. They used chaos as a weapon and turned disorder into victory. For the first time in her life, she felt something that the hive mind had never experienced: doubt. And that doubt began to spread through the collective consciousness like a virus, reaching every Cathar in the galaxy. The war had changed, and so had everyone fighting it. General Lisa Chun stood in the war room of the human command ship Victory's End and studied the galaxy map. Red dots showed Cathar territories. Blue dots showed Council worlds. And scattered throughout the map were green dots marking human fleets. In just 6 months, humanity had gone from having 50 ships to commanding over 300 vessels of alien design modified with human technology. "General, we have a problem," said Captain Morrison as he entered the room. He looked tired but determined. The war had aged him, but it had also sharpened him into something the galaxy had never seen before. "What kind of problem?" Chun asked. She was a small woman with short black hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. Before the war, she had been planning to retire. Now she commanded the largest mobile fleet in known space. "The Council is getting nervous about us," Morrison said. Ambassador Talas sent a private message. "Some members are starting to ask questions about human methods." Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked up from her research station. She had been working on captured Cathar technology for months, trying to understand how their hive mind worked. "What kind of questions?" "The kind that suggest they think we might be more dangerous than helpful," Morrison replied. Chun was not surprised. The humans had won every battle they had fought, but they had done it in ways that shocked their allies. Where the Council used precise energy weapons, humans used nuclear explosives. Where the Council followed rules of honorable combat, humans used tricks and deception. Where the Council tried to disable enemy ships, humans destroyed them completely. "Show me the latest." Intelligence reports. Sean said. The wall screen displayed information from across the galaxy. Human fleets had hit 17 Cathar systems in the past month. Each attack was different, each one teaching the humans something new about their enemy. They were learning faster than anyone thought possible. Here is something interesting, Dr. Rodriguez said, pointing to her data. I have been studying the Cathar prisoners we captured at Beta Centauri. Their hive-mind connection is breaking down. What do you mean breaking down? Morrison asked. Individual Cathar are starting to have independent thoughts. It is like a virus spreading through their collective consciousness. Every time we use psychological warfare against them, more of them begin to think for themselves. Chun studied the data. This was bigger than just winning battles. The humans were accidentally destroying the very thing that made the Cathar dangerous in the first place. Dr. Rodriguez, how long before this spreads to their entire empire? Based on current rates, maybe 6 months. But General, this changes everything. If the Cathar lose their hive mind, they stop being a unified threat. They become millions of individuals trying to figure out who they are. Lieutenant Commander Parker entered the room carrying a datapad. General, we just intercepted a Cathar transmission. It is not like anything we have seen before. The screen changed to show the inside of a Cathar ship. But instead of the usual perfect coordination, there was chaos. Individual Cathar were arguing with each other. Some were holding their heads as if in pain. A few were just standing still, staring at nothing. They are falling apart, Parker said. This is happening on ships across their empire. The hive mind is fragmenting. Shun felt a chill run down her spine. They had wanted to win the war, but they had not expected to destroy an entire species' way of life in the process. General, Morrison said quietly, we need to talk about what happens next. If the Cathar Empire collapses, we become the strongest military force in the galaxy. Before Chun could answer, Ambassador Talas appeared as a hologram in the center of the room. But she did not look happy to see them. General, Chun, we need to discuss the situation, Talas said. Her usual friendly manner was gone, replaced by something cold and formal. Of course, Ambassador. What can we do for you? The Council has received reports about human activities in the Outer Rim. You have been attacking Cathar worlds without consulting us first. Sean exchanged glances with Morrison. They had been moving fast, hitting targets of opportunity. It was how humans fought wars, but apparently it was not how the Council expected their allies to behave. We have been following military necessity, Sean said carefully. Every target we hit weakens the Cathar ability to make war. You have also been taking prisoners and conducting experiments on them, Talas continued. This violates several Council laws about the treatment of captives. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. Ambassador, we have been trying to understand how their hive mind works. This research has led to breakthroughs that are winning the war. That is exactly what concerns us, Talas said. You are not just fighting the Cathar. You are changing them. Some Council members are asking if this is different from what the Cathar were doing to us. The room fell silent. Chun had not thought about it that way before. The humans had been so focused on winning that they had not considered the moral implications of their methods. Ambassador, Chun said slowly, are you asking us to stop? I'm asking you to slow down, to consult with the Council before taking major actions, to remember that there will be a galaxy to live in after this war is over. After Talas ended the transmission, the human officers stood in uncomfortable silence. They had been so successful that they had forgotten they were supposed to be junior partners in this alliance. She is right, Morrison said finally. We have been acting like we own this war. Because we do, Parker said bluntly. Without us, the Council would have been destroyed months ago. Now they are worried that we are too effective. Chung walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Elder Mordoon's warnings were coming true. The humans had not just joined the war, they had taken it over. And now their allies were beginning to fear them. Dr. Rodriguez, how close are you to understanding the Cathar hive? Mine completely? Very close, General. I think I know how to disrupt it permanently. But if I do that, millions of Cathar will suddenly become individuals with no idea how to live independently. And if we do not do it, the war continues, and more people die on both sides. Chun made her decision. Continue your research, but prepare two options. One that destroys the hive mind permanently, and one that just disrupts it temporarily. Why two options? Morrison asked. Because I think we are about to discover that winning the war is the easy part. It is what comes after that will test us. 3 days later, the human fleet received new intelligence. A massive Cathar force was gathering at their home world of Vexthara Prime. It was the largest fleet ever assembled, containing over 8,000 ships. They are making their final stand, Parker reported. Every Cathar ship that can still fight is heading there. Chun studied the tactical display. This would be the decisive battle of the war. If the humans won, the Cathar Empire would fall. If they lost, humanity might be wiped out. Send a message to the Council, she ordered. Tell them we are moving to end this war. And tell them that after we do, we need to talk about what kind of galaxy we want to live in. As the human fleet prepared for hyperspace jump, Chun thought about Elder Morden's warnings. The old alien had been right about everything. Humans did not just fight wars, they transformed them. They did not just win battles, they changed the rules of engagement forever. Soon, the galaxy would see what humans could do when they decided to end something once and for all. And then everyone would have to live with the consequences. The Cathar homeworld of Vexthara Prime hung in space like a dark jewel. It was a world of black rock and red oceans, surrounded by the largest fleet anyone had ever seen. 8,000 Cathar ships formed perfect defensive rings around their planet. Every vessel that could still fight had come home to make their final stand. General, Lisa Chun stood on the bridge of Victory's End and watched the enemy fleet through the main window. Her human force looked tiny in comparison. 300 ships against 8,000. But Chun had learned something important over the past months. Numbers did not always win wars. Ideas did. All ships report ready, General, said Lieutenant Commander Parker. The young officer had grown into one of the best tactical minds in the fleet. He understood how humans fought better than most aliens understood their own species. Dr. Rodriguez, is the fracture protocol ready? Chun asked. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her station. She had dark circles under her eyes from months of research, but her voice was steady. Ready, General? But I want to be clear about what this will do. The fracture protocol will break the Cathar hive mind permanently. Millions of individuals will suddenly have to think for themselves. Many will not know how to handle it. And the alternative? The war continues until one side destroys the other completely. Chun nodded. It was a terrible choice, but war was full of terrible choices. She opened a channel to the Council fleet, which hung back at a safe distance. Admiral Krickstow and the other alien commanders were there to witness the final battle, but they would not participate. This was humanity's fight now. This is General Chun to all Council observers. We are about to end this war. What happens next will be up to all of us to decide together. She switched to the human fleet frequency. All ships, this is General Chun. Today, we finish what the Cathar started, but we do it the human way. We give them a choice. Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio from New Horizon. General, we are receiving a transmission from the Cathar fleet. They want to talk. Put it through. The main screen filled with the image of Queen Empress Vexthol. She was larger than the other Kethar Chun had seen, with golden markings on her black armor. But her large eyes showed something Chun had never seen in a Kethar before: uncertainty. "I am Queen Empress Vexthul, ruler of the Kethar Empire," she said. Her voice was different from other Kethar. It sounded more individual, less like part of a chorus. "You are the humans who have brought chaos to our perfect order. I am General Lisa Chun of the United Earth Defense Force. Your empire attacked peaceful worlds. We came to stop you." "You have done more than stop us," Vexthul said. "You have infected us with your individualism. My people are thinking independent thoughts. The hive mind fractures more each day. You are destroying what we are." Chun felt a moment of doubt. Was she about to commit genocide against an entire way of life? But then she remembered the burning worlds, the millions of council citizens who had died in Kethar attacks. "Your Majesty, I am going to offer you something your people have never offered anyone else. A choice." Vexthul did. "What?" "Choice? Surrender now, and we will help your people learn to live as individuals. You can keep your worlds and your culture, but you must stop attacking others. Or we can finish this war the hard way, and your empire ends today." "You cannot destroy us," Vexthul said, but her voice lacked conviction. "We have 8,000 ships. You have only a few hundred." Chun smiled sadly. "Your Majesty, we have already destroyed you. You just do not know it yet. Dr. Rodriguez, begin the fracture protocol." Across the human fleet, special transmitters began broadcasting on frequencies that only the Kethar could hear. But these were not the chaotic signals they had used before. This was something Dr. Rodriguez had designed specifically to target the hive mind's weak points. The effect was immediate. On the screen, Queen Empress Vexthul suddenly grabbed her head and screamed. It was not a sound of pain, but of confusion and terror. For the first time in her life, she was completely alone in her own mind. All around the planet, the same thing was happening to every Kethar. The collective consciousness that had connected their species for millions of years suddenly shattered. Like glass, 8 million individuals all tried to think independent thoughts at the same moment. The perfect defensive formation around Vexthar Prime collapsed. Ships drifted without orders. Some began firing randomly. Others just stopped moving. As their crews tried to understand what had happened to them, Chun watched it happen and felt sick. She had won the war, but at what cost? "General," Parker said quietly, "the Kethar fleet is completely disabled. They are not responding to any signals." "Send medical teams to any ship that will accept help," Chun ordered. "And prepare humanitarian aid for the planet's surface." Captain Morrison appeared on a side screen. "General, what do we do now?" "We control the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. The Council is terrified of us. The Kethar are broken. What comes next?" Before Chun could answer, Elder Morden's face appeared on the main screen. The ancient being looked older and more tired than ever. "You have won, humans," he said. "You have done exactly what we asked you to do. And now you must live with what you have become." "What have we become?" Chun asked. "The dominant species in the galaxy. Like it or not, every other civilization will now look to you for leadership. The question is, what kind of leaders will you be?" Chun looked out at the disabled Kethar fleet and the waiting council ships. Humanity had been dragged into someone else's war, and now they had to help build the peace that followed. "Dr. Rodriguez, can you develop a way to help the Kethar learn to be individuals without losing their minds?" "I think so, General. It will take time, but yes. Then we start there. We help them rebuild as a free people." Elder Mordon nodded slowly. "Perhaps I was wrong about you, humans. Perhaps you can handle the power you have gained. We will try," Chun said. "But we cannot do it alone. The galaxy needs all of us working together. 6 months later, Shun stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Cooperation Station, built in orbit around a neutral world. Through the window, she could see ships from dozens of species working together. Human vessels flew alongside council ships, and even some rebuilt Ketha craft. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. The galaxy had to learn to live with humanity as an equal partner, and humanity had to learn to use its power responsibly. Dr. Rodriguez joined her at the window. The first group of individual Kether are graduating from the Independence Training Program today. They are calling themselves the Free Kethar Alliance. How are they doing? Better than expected. It turns out that independent thinking comes naturally once they learn how to do it. Some are even becoming artists and poets. Shun smiled. Maybe there was hope after all. The council had ignored Elder Mordanus' warnings about dragging humans into their war. But perhaps those warnings had been incomplete. Yes, humans changed everything they touched. But sometimes change was exactly what the galaxy needed. The stars shone peacefully outside the window, and for the first time in months, Shun allowed herself to believe that the future might be better than the past.